My problem with Bitcoin maximalists, and I know a lot of them, I'm friends with a lot of them, and there's two different types. There's Bitcoin maximalist, which I fall into to an extent since my largest holdings are Bitcoin. I do hold a lot of other altcoins too. And the reason I do that is because altcoins, when Bitcoin hits its all-time high, and then the price kind of settles down and Bitcoin dominance drops down, that money then gets transferred into Ethereum next, and then the rest of the altcoins. And because the market caps are so small, they drastically outperform Bitcoin. So I shift the capital, then I will sell, and then I'll buy back Bitcoin as it draws back down. And that's what I call a good traditional Bitcoin maximalist. Then there's what you call the toxic Bitcoin toxic maxis. And those are the ones I have an issue with because to me, these people are blindsided and it's almost religious. They worship at the altar of Bitcoin. And I love Bitcoin, as you guys know. Bitcoin is the only one I'll put up here because I do believe how it was created, it is the best asset out there. And for many different reasons. The decentralization of it is massive to me. It's peer-to-peer. I don't need a third-party intermediary. And to me, those are the three most important things. Well, the most important thing is there's only 21 million that will ever be created. So with that, you have such a limited supply and there's such a great demand. And now with all these Bitcoin treasury companies, there's even greater demand with governments around the world buying it and holding it as a treasury, what it's becoming, and it's not what the original intent was, or potentially not what the original intent was, but it's become the backstop. It's really going to become the economic backstop of the world, replacing gold, replacing silver, all these precious metals, which you can go find more of. You can go mine more. You can go mine them on asteroids. You can find them elsewhere. Years can fall down asteroids can fall down, hit the earth, and they could have gold in them. So you've got much more supply than what you have of Bitcoin. Plus, it's very simple to move Bitcoin around. All I need is my smartphone. For gold, I've got to carry that with me, try to get on a plane with gold, try to ship gold. It's very difficult. This is very simple. You just need to know your seed phrases, your password to your cold storage wallet. There are dangers with that, obviously. But cold storage is the best storage of your Bitcoin. And you own it, you hold it, you control it. And you can use it for transactions. It's not the fastest. Obviously, there are other better platforms out there for that. But getting back to the maximalists, they worship at the altar of Bitcoin and they refuse to look at anything else. And to me, that's just a blind ideology. It's like a religion. It's like you're a Catholic and you say the Catholic religion is the only one I will trust, no other one. But you've seen faults with the Catholic religion, just like there are some faults with Bitcoin as far as the ability to build on it, as far as the speed of the network. You can't go buy a cup of coffee. You're going to wait 15 or 20 minutes for the transaction to happen. And a transaction will cost more maybe than a cup of coffee, which is the drawback to it. But as a backstop, economic backstop to the world's economy, to nation's economy, I think it's perfect. Ethereum's even got bigger problems. I'm not a fan of Ethereum and it's not really decentralized. Now, there are other cryptos out there. Most of them are scams. There's a lot of good ones out there. There's a lot of AI projects. And as you guys know, the one I'm very bullish on is Tau, BitTensor, because it was built to be like Bitcoin. 21 million is all they're going to mint. It's a completely decentralized network, where the people that work on that network and provide bandwidth are going to be rewarded with Tau tokens. Similarly to the way people mine Bitcoin, they're rewarded with Bitcoin. So I'm a huge fan of Tau, and I'm hoping I can get some maxis onto Tau and realize this is another great project that falls in line with what Bitcoin does. But I also want to get the maxis, and I'm going to get a lot of hate on this, and that's fine. There are other good tokens out there that are going to have good use cases, and you've got to wake up to that fact. You can't be so blind and have these blinders on, these guardrails on, that you can't see other opportunities that are right in front of you. And there's a lot of opportunities that could be out there. There's also way more scams. And I think that's the big worry. I think a lot of the maxis are worried about getting scammed, which I totally understand because there's so many scams out there. But at the same time, you can protect yourself against those. You could do your due diligence and research, and just like you did with Bitcoin. It's going to take time for a lot of these tokens. Some are going to be good and seem good, and then there's going to be rug pulls on them, or there's going to be some kind of manipulation. But again, those would be the more centralized tokens. I'm talking about decentralized tokens. Bitcoin Cash, I like it. It's decentralized too. It's not quite the same as Bitcoin. It is a little faster network, but it still is slow. It's not as fast as Digibyte. Digibyte is another one that I do like, and that's more decentralized. It was built off of, it was a fork of Bitcoin, essentially. And I still do like that. I don't know if it's ever going to have a use case. It's got way too many tokens, which is the biggest issue with it. If they pull back and do a huge, massive burn, I think that would really, really help Digi in the long term. But if you want to use Digi as a peer-to-peer to buy coffee, it's super fast for transactions. I think it's perfect for that. And there's great use cases for that. So I'm looking for those tokens for the future. Where I'm looking at is tokens that have somewhat of a limited supply, or maybe like Digi, where you just decide, hey, this is going to be used for daily transactions. There's going to be something else that probably comes along that will overtake, that is better than Digibyte, that is maybe faster than Digibyte. But until that happens, I'm going to utilize these tokens that are quick for transactions. If I want to use them to do transactions, to accept, like Litecoin's a good one, to accept transactions. If somebody wants to pay you in Litecoin, it's coming quick, really quick. When you move it from wallet to wallet, it is fast. And that's what it was designed for. Charlie Lee created it. There's only 84 million in supply. So again, you have a limited supply, and the network is quick, very quick. But if I'm going to hold long term, I think the only two tokens right now that I would really feel comfortable holding long term would be Bitcoin 1 and Tau, which is BitTensor number 2. I still like Bitcoin Cash. However, yesterday I sold all my Bitcoin Cash and bought Tau with them. So I think there's way more upside, one, and I just like the project and where it's headed. And I think it's going in the right direction. And AI is obviously our future over the next 5-10 years and probably way longer, until quantum computing outdoes everything that does, or takes AI and brings it to a whole new level. But that's my problem with maxis. They're too blinded by an ideology, and they need to wake up and understand we're in a different age now where things are moving quickly, and there's going to be other good projects that come about. It's not just one. It's just like people that love gold. Almost equated to this. There's people that love gold, but don't like silver as much. There's so much more, I guess, readily available. It's just not looked at the same way, although it's used much more in industry than gold is. And partly because of price point, really, mostly probably because of price point. But both are good. I own gold. I own silver, way more silver than gold, because typically over the centuries, silver's traded 17-1 to what gold is, and it's way out of whack right now. It's way higher. It's closer to 100 or 80, whatever it is. Both are hitting all-time highs, and both are hitting all-time highs basically because the dollar is going down, and that's what they're based off of, the dollar. That's why Bitcoin's going up. That's why Bitcoin will continue to go up. Bitcoin will crash, though, not to the extent it did before. We're not going to have these 80% retracements probably anymore. We're probably going to have 30, 40, maybe 50% retracements after this cycle is complete. And then we're going to have very little retracements, because I think what's going to end up happening, there's going to be ways, and this is what I'm waiting for, when I can hold it in my cold storage wallet, but still borrow against it, and somehow using a smart contract or whatever technology allows for this, for me to lock up my Bitcoin in that cold storage wallet where I cannot move it until that smart contract expires, until I've paid back that loan. When I pay back that loan, that smart contract would then be completed, and then I can move that Bitcoin again. So there's ways for the future that this can be able to be done. Bitcoin will be over $1 million, probably 2030, 2032, 3, 4, 5, somewhere in that range. Probably closer to 2 million, just because the dollar is going to get so devalued. I'm playing a long game with Bitcoin. Like I said, it's still my favorite, still best. It's the only one I'm going to have up here as of right now, because it is the best. It's been around since 2009, so it's the oldest. And I really want maxis to understand that there's other potential projects out there that should catch your interest. And right now, the only one I see for the most part is Tal, and then Bitcoin Cash would be the next one. But Bitcoin Cash is not really looked at the same way, obviously, by Bitcoin people. And I get it, and I don't look at it the same way either, nowhere near. But it still has good value and potential good use case down the road. All right, that's all I want to hit, guys. If you like this, make sure you do click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you guys on the next video.